How's it going out there? Ben Kiowski here from wonderful Wimberley, Texas. Hey, regarding Foster's book on discipline, reading the intro, I think something that stuck out to me more than anything was his description of how his relational life within ministry was very impactful for him. The different relationships that he had connected him to his opportunities and so on, as well as the great relationship that he had on his pastoral staff that allowed him to step out of his responsibilities for a time to devote himself to writing. I thought that was very good and healthy. That's something that exists within the team that I'm a part of, thankfully. And I've had experience with other teams, particularly when I was younger, and there was not that experience, and it was much more difficult for the pastoral team to accomplish the things they needed, oftentimes feeling unsupported and even at odds with others. And so I think that the relational aspect of that was very compelling in the introduction. Regarding the inward disciplines, something that stuck out is when I believe it's page 10, he discussed how we have a tendency to take these spiritual disciplines and use them as a tool of control to control others. And we elevate our own concept of what discipleship looks like and what these disciplines mean in our own life, and then apply that to someone else's life as if they're the same as ours. And I think his words there were that it makes us think that we're the right kind of people, which slips us into pride, and then it can also generate fear that causes us to control others. And when we start to lose that control, we enter into fear, which causes us to make poor decisions, of course. So that was compelling to me in the intro. Regarding a problematic feature, I think on page 40 or 41, when he's talking about prayer, he's talking about the concept of how imagination enters into that. And I understood his imagination discussion a little bit more in the meditation section but in the prayer, when he describes imagination as a door to faith, I think I understand conceptually what he's saying, but I think that's highly, highly problematic in my opinion and in my experience with prayer and prayer ministry and prayer counseling of others. Now, I know that he reduced his discussion of prayer to intercessory prayer, but his assumptions within that seem to be quite Armenian, I guess. Saying with statements such as we're participating with God and shaping the future, and then the concept of imagination, I think, is a big problem. To go back to that, one of those is I have it. It's not just, I guess it's an anecdote of sorts, but it's something really that happened in my life. My father died when he was 54. And maybe it was a year after that, I was in a group with some people that I love and respect a great deal, wonderful, excellent people who love Jesus and pray for people all the time and care for people in a great way. I was with that group and they were praying for me. It was just kind of a general prayer, and they were laying on hands and praying, and one of them said, we need to pray against the stronghold in your life of early death. Now, we can talk about, whether that's a prophetic word or how she was approaching that particular part. That's neither here nor there, in my opinion. But she was using her imagination. Because my father died young, it must then therefore follow in her imagination, in her vision, that the men in my family die early. And it couldn't be further from the truth. The empirical fact is that the men live far past life expectancy for men in my family. And so when I read that, I thought it was almost like in that particular occurrence in my personal life, it was almost as if that person, very well meaning, who cares for me deeply still to this day, was almost speaking a curse over me, more so than praying and interceding on my behalf. and it was because of this insertion of imagination. I don't think that concept is entirely invalid. It's just a little bit problematic to teach as a "this is the way things are" sort of attitude, which comes out in Foster's writing in this particular situation. So those are my thoughts. Hey, respond, tell me if I'm crazy, if I don't know what I'm talking about. That's great. Or if you agree, that's fun too. Looking forward to hearing from you guys. Having fun doing this.